All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive into some really cool data stuff.
Love it.
Today, we are going to be talking about DAX, which is Data Analysis Expressions in Excel.
Cool.
I know what you're thinking, spreadsheets.
Right.
But trust me, this is really cool stuff.
It is.
Because we're going to be talking about how to take an Excel table and transform it into JSON.
Oh, very cool.
Using a function called TOJSON.
Right.
Have you ever used this before?
I have, and it's a very cool function.
So I like to think of JSON as like a universal language for data.
Okay.
It's like if you have data in different places, you can always translate it to JSON.
Gotcha.
And it's understandable.
Yeah.
So it's like a secret decoder ring for your spreadsheets.
Makes sense.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way to put it because you're absolutely right. Like so many different systems can at least understand how to read JSON, even if they don't understand, the native format for whatever other system we're talking about.
So like imagine you've done all this cool analysis in Excel.
Okay.
But you need to get those insights into like a web application.
Right.
Or maybe you want to share it with like a system that doesn't understand Excel.
Yeah.
TOJSON can help you do that.
Exactly. It's that bridge, it's that translator that makes it possible to share these insights with all these different systems.
Okay, so let's unpack this function, TOJSON.
Right.
It's actually pretty simple.
It is.
So there's two main parameters that it takes.
Okay.
The first one is table.
Makes sense.
Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
That's the table you want to convert.
Okay.
The second one is max rows.
Okay.
And this one is optional. And what this does is it basically sets a limit on how much of the table you want to convert.
Okay.
So it's like saying, I only want to convert the first 10 rows or the first 20 rows.
Okay.
And here's a pro tip for you.
All right.
If you leave max rows blank,
it'll
automatically default to just converting the first 10 rows.
Ah, that's very handy.
So if you have a massive data set and you just want to get like a little snapshot, it's a really useful tip.
Yeah, absolutely. I've used that a bunch of times, like just to test things out or get a quick preview before converting the entire table.
Exactly.
It's super helpful.
So now that we understand like the input of TOJSON, what about the output?
Right. So
what does that look like?
Let's talk about that JSON structure.
Okay.
It's all about clarity and organization.
Okay.
Imagine you get this output and it has a section called header.
Okay.
And that lists out all your column names from your table.
Okay.
Then you have row count, which tells you exactly how many rows got converted.
Right.
And finally, the most important part is the data section.
Okay.
And that includes all those cell values from your Excel table.
Right.
All nice and organized, ready to be read by another application.
So it's like taking this spreadsheet, this like messy spreadsheet potentially, and transforming it into this really neat JSON structure.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful because now other systems that might not understand Excel, they can understand this universal language of JSON.
Exactly.
And they can work with your data.
It's making data universally understandable.
Absolutely.
It's not just moving data around.
Yeah.
It's making it so that anyone can understand it.
Exactly.
So you mentioned earlier some applications.
Yeah.
Can you give me some like real world examples?
Absolutely. So think about web developers who are building interactive charts.
Yeah.
They might want to pull data from Excel to display on their website. TOJSON makes that integration super easy.
Okay.
They can just convert the Excel data to JSON.
Right.
And their web application can easily read it and display it.
Makes sense.
Or imagine you need to send data to an application that only understands JSON.
Right.
Maybe to some kind of reported system or a data warehouse.
Right.
TOJSON can handle that conversion for you, saving you a ton of manual work.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've been talking about like simple data.
Okay.
Like numbers and text.
Right.
What happens if you have more complex data types in your spreadsheet?
That's a great question.
Like dates or formulas.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little bit more nuanced.
Okay.
TOJSON does a fantastic job with those common data types, like numbers and text.
Right.
But when it comes to things like dates or formulas, it might require a little bit of extra attention. You might need to do some pre-processing or make sure that your dates are formatted in a way that JSON can understand.
Yeah.
So it's not always a one-size-fits-all solution, but it's definitely a powerful tool.
So it's kind of like packing for a trip.
Yeah.
You got to make sure everything is in the right format.
Exactly. You don't want to show up with a suitcase full of
Right.
winter clothes
You
when you're
wanna-
going to the beach.
Okay, so to wrap things up,
Right.
we've been talking about DAX.
Yeah.
And how this function,
Oh,
TOJSON,
right.
can really help unlock the power
Yeah.
of your Excel data
It can. It's,
by transforming it into this format
Yeah.
that can be shared across different platforms
Absolutely.
and different systems.
It opens up a world of possibilities.
We've talked about how it's pretty easy to use,
Straightforward syntax.
straightforward syntax.
Yeah.
It's got those two main parameters,
Great.
table and max rows.
Right.
And we even talked about how you need to be mindful
Yeah.
of the different data types
A little bit of planning goes a long way.
with this stuff.
Yeah.
So thinking about all this,
Yeah.
how could you use TOJSON in your own work? Like imagine you're building a dashboard or you need to automate some reports.
Right.
Could TOJSON be that missing piece
It could be.
that helps you connect the dots?
Yeah, that's a great question for our listeners to think about.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how people are using it
I would too.
out there.
So thank you all for joining us today
Yes.
for this deep dive into the world of DAX and TOJSON.
Yeah, this was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Always love talking data.
Me too. We'll see you next time for another exciting deep dive.
All right, see you then.
Keep those data skills sharp.
Bye.